Hi, this is Danvar from DMV Warehouse, and today I'm going to be breaking down a new track I've made called Dark. To be honest, the whole layout of it is very simple. The track literally has, apart from effects and like some percussion stuff, probably about like 5 main elements, and that's including the bass and everything. So it's really not really like a complicated breakdown in the slightest. But yeah, let's hop into it. So usually, if I'm starting a track that has vocals in it, I'll always start with the vocal, as like a main point to build the actual track around. It's just like more easy. I would usually start with like the drop before, and it just is so much harder to build an intro over that than it is to build the drop from the actual build up. As it literally like creates the whole vibe of the song, just from the build. So I pulled up this vocal from Splice, and you might recognize it. So this is it.
Why keep you hiding where the sun is dark? It's undefined, want to know where you are.
There's no post-processing that I've done for this vocal. There's actually no post-processing on this vocal. Splice did the work for me on this one. Shout out to Splice. So after that, I'd added these ambient effects, some like pads and vinyl crackle, just to add some like background noise, and like create more melodic elements on top of the vocal, and they just sit perfectly.
Don't know where you are. Why keep you hiding where the sun is dark?
And that just creates a bed for it, which pretty much just sets the whole song. Those three from various like drum and bass sample packs or splice that I've used. So I've got this flute as well, which is basically just cut some lows and add some reverb, really not complicated, with some long decay. This is from Arcade as well.
Undefined, want to know where you are.
And they have some great instruments on there as well. That's panned slightly to the right, just because also we're trying to start from the beginning. We're trying to create a good stereo mix. So I've panned that to the left. The vocals are quite mono, apart from the reverb obviously. All of these are quite stereo, quite wide to create like the centerpiece for the bass and stuff. I added some toms on after, just for some build.
Hiding where the sun is dark.
Nothing special with these.
Undefined, want
just
to
again
know
some
where you are.
reverb and some EQ
Why
to cut
keep you hiding
some frequencies we don't need. I then started with this respace that I think I just made in Serum. It's really simple, just 2 out of phase oscillators, no filter, no anything. That's literally all it is. With like processing on this in the intro, I have my limiter for the sidechain for the kick that comes in later. I've got an imager as well, which is just kind of raising the highs, and I'll show you why I've done that later. But for the time being, all I have is this EQ on it, which just takes out some of those sharper frequencies. Sounds like this.
The sun is dark. It's undefined, want to
Without that, I think it's this one.
hiding where the sun is dark.
So you see that's not intro worthy, so I'm taking that out. For the build up, we've got some more rises as well, and some impacts, which just like kind of create more atmosphere and stuff in it. But we've got this.
You hiding where the sun is dark. It's undefined, want to know where you are.
It's very simple. This rise to just add some more.
Why keep you
For the vocal in this part, all I've done is moved another instance of that vocal over here to another send. Got some vintage verb on top of that, some EQ cutting out of a lot of lows, again a long decay, some decay, and this tremolo, which is the reason it's like the volume's automating. Gives some like trippy ambient effect, which I love I've also got a reverb before that, so it sounds more ambient again.
Why keep you
And I absolutely love that effect. I use in pretty much most of my songs, to be honest. I have this effect here, which is really nothing special. Like, again, just trying to kind of fit stuff in the mix that makes it sound like, do you know what I mean, like a bit of ear candy and stuff. Then I have this one riser here. The intro is very basic, really nothing at all. Just this vocal before the drop. I'll show you what the drop sounds like, and then I'll take you through it. That's what I've got so far. This track isn't completely finished, as you can tell it's slightly empty, but I've done that for a reason, just so we can walk you through the basics really. So I'll start from the beginning, which we just have part of the break that I've used in this, the sound shifter, which basically just brings the pitch up, so it starts from bottom and goes up. Basically goes up to the normal octave. I'll start with the drums here, so these are the drums. And some vocals, some cute vocals. So these are the drums. They're very simple actually. I'll tell you, it's a break that I've got from Sample Pack. And basically it was like this before. Let me lay this out for you. With its own kick and snare. I've actually used the same snare again, but let me play this. Sounds like that because of the post-processing. I'll walk you through that in a second. So I've cut out the parts that I want the kick and snare to be in, and so I can mix those separately and just change the sound around like however I like. So I've fit in the kick. I've chopped around this break a bit as well, just to make it sound slightly different, and a change of parts so it doesn't like get really boring. This is just a basic pattern, really simple. If we come to the effects, we got on the hats just a stereo shaper, some very light reverb, and to cut out the lows, quite harsh. On this I've got the kick, which genuinely has nothing on it at the moment. This is just going to this. It's quite a compressed kick already, the actual sample, so I kind of left it because I had nothing. I think an important thing is just to not process stuff too much when it realistically doesn't need it. I think that's a big thing, and I mean I might compress it slightly more later, and there might be some EQ shaping I have to do to make it sit perfectly, but for now it's perfectly fine. The snare, I've got some saturation and some EQ. This is a bit wild, I know, but just to bring out some of the mids, which is really important with the snare, to make it slightly more snappy and actually like it's kind of almost like a click you want with it, so it properly hits, and it's not just some weak snare. I think I deleted that one. That's pretty much it for that one, and I've got the drum bus at the end here. So I've got my compressor, the CLA38, which is amazing from Waves. We've got some peak reduction and then some gain makeup. Again, some reverb, but with no really lows. Some EQ with just the side. So there are no low frequencies on the side, on the stereo, so it doesn't clash with anything. Just some automation for later. Just another imager. If it was the mix was the full way up, it sounded like this. So I've only got a little bit of that. Just adds, it sounds like more saturation and fullness, which is what I was going for. Some chorus automation for later, and these are also automation for later. So it's basically just compressed and EQ'd. I've got the same ambience here and the vocals. So like that, I'll walk you through this bass. So basically all this Reese is I've heavily relied on automation here. It's just a simple Reese bass again, no like interesting sound design in the slightest. But I'm automating this EQ here, so it filtered out the highs, like literally the one I've showed before. First hit's off, and this is where this reverb comes into play. I have this reverb here with the low cut very high up, so only the high end is reverbed, which is very important because it'd be so muddy if it was just like low reverb. So we've got this. I also have this chorus and flanges automation as well for certain parts I want to emphasize, like this. I think it sounds really cool. It's really not complicated at all. I've just changed the automation throughout the drop to make it more interesting. I also have this little like foghorn type thing that just sits in the background. If you actually take that drum in, just sits like that. Processing for this, I've just taken some of the lows out so it doesn't clash with the bass. Stereo shaped it and add some reverb. I think it adds so much more depth to the drop. First one is more louder than these lot, so it's more impactful. I have the trem vocals here as well. That are still on that preset on 5. The second part, I have the ambient sticking out. Bass goes a bit more wild in this part as well. Some variation in the drums, very light really. I have this atmosphere I brought in, which is just another sample. On A minor, you've got to keep them in key. There's some more vocal variation. These are just some short stabs I've got from here. I've put on mixer 3, which all that has is a micro shift for some like stereo width again, and it just adds a really like interesting weird sound. EQs, just pointless really, I've added so many. I've got 2 reverbs on there as well.
Why keep you hiding where the sun is dark?
We finally added in this piano, just basic chords. This is from Contact as well. It's
why keep you hiding where the sun is dark?
So here again I have some automation, some reverb automation on these drums, a love filter and EQ automation on the drums just to fade them in. Second kind of build up, similar to the first, very simple. It's not incredibly intense, but the whole song's not supposed to be too intense. It's kind of, at parts it gets quite complicated patterns, not too complicated, but it's just like, I like doing these rising downs and rising up sections, so that like brings more energy to the track. I added this crowd, which just adds some, almost some like white noise to it, which you can't really hear, but when I play it on its own, let me turn this automation.
3 days later.
Right there. It's just some white noise basically. It adds slightly more energy in. So I've added another foghorn here. Don't mind the mix, Chuck. I've added the piano back in here as well. Again, some automation. Got some reverb automation on the drums. Also the chorus again on the drums. Got these impacts as well. Again, it's nothing special in the slightest. There's about 5 main elements of this song. The interesting part I have on my master, which to be honest carries the track. There's this plugin I found recently called whatever that name is, ARTG Mastering Stereo from Waves. It's like amazing, probably the best thing I can have. OTT again. I've put all these effects on prior to actually making the track, which is quite unusual, because obviously you're supposed to master after. But I primarily just shoved these two on after. But in this track I just shoved them on before. I don't know why. I've got 13% and obviously like full time, just to add some little compression. This, and I can't really explain to you what it does, but I've just used this preset, silky highs and low end, which is what I went for this track. I wanted both of those like frequencies to be quite prominent. I have just an EQ which cuts, it's a low cut at 18 Hertz. I probably should have bring it back to around like 15 Hertz, because that's the point of cut off where you can really hear. I might just do that now. Got it there at 16 Hertz. That's the automation trem for this intro part. It was like this before, I don't know why it's been changed. It's supposed to be like this. So that's all the automation is, just for this intro build up part. I'll have a limiter which is going at like quite an aggressive 0.8 dB increase. Just some like reverb automation as well that comes in here, I think. Really nothing, but I'll show you what it sounds like without any effects on the master. It sounds very dry. This is what it sounds like with. There's a big difference there, I think, like, primarily to this mastering and this OTT here. But that's basically everything. There's obviously like small parts like this. This is, oh yeah.
Why keep you Why keep you hiding where the sun is dark? It's undefined, want to know where you are. Why keep you hiding where the sun is dark? The sun is dark.